Hey all, welcome back. I'm in the woods again. Beautiful little December day. And you ever get to a place where you kind of start to think about what's important in life and what you want to do in life, and then almost as equally as important, what you don't want to do in life. And this channel, as you know, if you watch it, is about sobriety and recovery and that kind of thing. But I think the lessons today that I'm going to discuss also really relate to, in general, what people want to do in life or what you don't want to do in life. And I think that's important for me to talk about a little bit. So as we take a walk today in the woods and enjoy the outdoors and get some fresh air and get our steps in, I think that that's important. So, there are 4 things that I've been thinking through recently about stuff that I just don't really want to do at all in recovery or sobriety. The hand of alcoholism is always kind of pulling us back to the time when we might have done other things and say, hey, come on back. It's fun. It's cool. You're going to like this. Remember those good times, and you just got to be strong and not go back to those times. I think that's the important part. So there's 4 things. Number one thing I'm never going to do is self-pity. Never going to look back and pity myself for, the things that have been done or what I've, the decisions I've made or things like that. And I think that's important. I'm just going to, continue to move forward and be positive about stuff and look to see what's next and really enjoy that journey and that step. I think that's important. So this is a rough trail. So if I'm looking around or looking down, I just don't want to trip over anything, obviously. So number 1, don't pity yourself. Number 2, don't pretend. Don't pretend you're somebody you're not. You don't have to pretend that you've made different decisions in life. And, if you do have to pretend around certain groups of people or with certain people, then that's a telltale sign that those people might not have your best interest in mind. And you should never have to pretend around the people that really care for you or that love you, that you want to be around. Number 3, don't forget where you come from. So whether that's a journey in life around nutrition or working out, or in my case, sobriety, or, addiction in other ways, or whatever the case may be, don't forget about it. Don't forget where you come from. Don't forget the days where things were challenging and rough, because you've made a lot of progress, and it's a good way to remind yourself that you've made a lot of progress. So don't forget about, where you've come from. And lastly, 4, don't hold grudges. And I'm going to come back to this one, but essentially, don't hold grudges against yourself. Don't hold grudges against others. You can forgive and, forget and try to move on, but don't be a fool about some of that stuff. So let's go back to the first one. Don't pity yourself, right? So, never really be negative. Don't look back at the past. The past is what it is. The future is what you're going to make it. And really, in the moment, the present is what you have. And that's what you really where you have to be. The present is what you have. In terms of recovery and sobriety, it's one day at a time for a reason. And that's the stuff I think that you just have to keep in mind in terms of where you're at. So don't pity yourself. Don't be negative about, the journey and what you have up in front of you. And, don't get stuck on the past or where you've been before in the past. Really focus on the day you're in right now. Enjoy that moment, because they're pretty fleeting and life zips by very quickly if you're unable to enjoy those moments. So that's definitely something that's very important. And like I am, don't lose the forest in spite of the trees. So what does that mean? It means focus on the big picture. Don't get stuck up on the little day-to-day details all the time. Focus on the big picture. Focus on the journey, the process of the journey. That's really what it's all about. I'm 1,000 days into sobriety, or right about 1,000 days, which is awesome. And, that's great. And I continue to go by and do what I'm doing. But I don't lose sight of the big picture. I don't lose sight of the journey. I don't lose sight of where I want to be. And, I don't focus so much on the little details that I lose sight of the big picture. So that's important. But certainly don't pity yourself. Continue to move forward with your decisions, and, you're going to be positive and optimistic about that. Second, don't pretend someone you're not. You got to be true to yourself first and foremost. You got to love yourself for who you are and for the decisions you've made. And I've talked about some of these things before, but if you're able to do that, the people that care about you and your friends, they're gonna really be there for you for who you are right now, today, in this moment. You don't have to pretend that you were someone from the past. You don't have to pretend that you still drink, for example, and that you're sick or you don't feel good, or you're having a Coke and instead you're having a tell everybody you're having a rum and Coke. Like, those are some good strategies at the beginning of the journey, but once you get through and you're really comfortable with who you are, don't pretend you're somebody else. Just be who you are, embrace who you are, and find your 3 or 4 values in life that are super important for you. And if you do that, you're going to be able to certainly move forward with what you believe in. And that is the single most important part of whatever journey it is that you're going to have. So you have to continue to believe in yourself first, and be true to yourself, and then other people will be true to you as well. The other piece I always talk about with this is emotionally and spiritually figure out who you are and what is important. Because for you, once you're able to do that, then regardless of the situation you're in, you can always fall back to those same things. You can fall back to that same emotional grounding that you found for yourself. You can fall back to that spirituality, whatever it is. And I've for myself, I've gotten to a point where I kind of have this amalgamation or mixture of spirituality, like out in nature for sure. I love being in nature. That's my number one for me. It's a nice sanctuary for me for a lot of different reasons. But also, you can go to church, you can do church groups. There's tons of stuff out there for your spiritual health. You just have to find what it's going to be for you and stick true to that. But certainly be true to yourself. Don't pretend to be somebody you're not, because that's just not going to lead to anything good for yourself or for the people around you, certainly. Next, don't forget where you came from. You have to remember the tough times. I think I certainly remember and have talked about day 1 of sobriety for me, when I made the decision to really move forward and stop drinking. And I'm not going to go through that right now, but essentially I made a decision that I had to make some changes. And I certainly remember that day. And I remember the first 30 days and how tough some things were and how tough it was to sleep. And, the anxiety that was really, really bad around some stuff. And in the past, I would have used alcohol to kind of drown some of that anxiety, but I had to make different decisions this time around that I was not going to do that. I had heart palpitations in those first 30 days. And, don't forget about those things. Don't forget where you come from. The first 30, 60, 90 days, whatever it is on your journey. Just life in general, whatever you choose to do. And again, for me, it was sobriety and moving forward in that way. But don't forget where you came from. Don't forget the people who were there right off the bat, the people who have stuck by you. Those are all important things. And if you lose sight of that, I think you're going to find yourself floating along through the journey without being super grounded to why you're doing what you're doing. Certainly you're going to do it for yourself, but you have to do it for something a little bit bigger than that too sometimes. And maybe it's for you, maybe it's for your kids, maybe it's for a partner or a spouse, or whatever the case may be. But you have to be able to identify what it is going to be for you. And sometimes not forgetting where you came from really helps with that. And then the fourth one is, just in general, don't hold grudges. Don't hold grudges against yourself. You have to be able to forgive yourself for some things you've maybe done in the past. And maybe you have to do some confession just to yourself through meditation, talking with others, journaling, whatever the case is. That's an important step along the way, is, confession and all that stuff. Don't hold grudges. It's okay. You can forgive yourself. Take things oftentimes with a grain of salt. Certainly if people around you have made mistakes or said things that you didn't agree with in your journey, or downplayed your journey, whatever the case is, for whatever it is in life, whatever you've decided to do. Don't hold grudges. You can forgive and move forward, but you probably shouldn't forget, and you certainly shouldn't be fooled. So if things happen more than once, 2, 3 times, then it's probably okay for the betterment of you and the decisions that you've made, just to move on without that person or that group of people. Because they're not sharing in your journey. They're not putting that part of your life first and foremost. And I've been in a couple of those situations where, there's just a little joke here or there about things that I've decided to do from people, and I just decide to distance myself from those people. And I don't go to the mountaintop and say, I'm not going to associate with you anymore. I don't do any of that. just for me, I make the decision and I say, you know what, that's not where I'm at right now. That's not healthy for me. And I think I'm going to do something else. And that's kind of what I've decided to do. So certainly for you, if you are thinking about different ways to make improvements in life, and especially if it's coming out of an addiction or something like that, you know, don't hold grudges, certainly against yourself. That's the most important part. And you can forgive people along the way. You certainly can forgive yourself for some past choices that you've made and stuff like that. It's important to be able to do that. So hopefully those 4 things are good for you. They can resonate with you a little bit. They certainly have for me. And, you know, along the way, there's bumps and roads and beautiful things and amazing things and twists and turns. And, you know, you may have a relationship here or there that bubbles into something awesome and you never thought that it would. And that's just part of it. And you may have some relationships that don't go the way you thought they might have gone. And again, part of the journey. So, you know, 4 things that I will never do in recovery is have self-pity. Not going to do it. I'm going to be optimistic. I'm going to move forward every single day. Hopefully you'll do the same. Number 2, I'm not going to pretend I'm somebody I'm not. Got to be true to myself. Number 3, I'm going to remember where I came from, both the people who were there when I started and the times when things were very difficult, because it makes those great times that much better and that much more awesome. And then lastly, I'm not going to hold grudges. I'm going to move forward. I'm going to forgive people. I'm going to forgive myself, and I'm going to get to a good place. So hopefully you can take those words of advice for whatever is going on in your life and apply it as well. And if you're new, I'm Matt at the cabin. I often am in the woods like today, but sometimes I'm at the cabin. It just depends on, you know, what I have going on and things like that. But in the woods today in a beautiful spot. So I always end with this. If you are in trouble and you need some support, find your local AA chapter, find a mentor, find someone you can talk to. Look at the meeting app guide. It's a great one where you can find an open AA meeting and you can participate that way. Smartrecovery.com is another one. There are a lot of resources out there for you. But as always, remember, it's one day at a time. You got it. I believe in you. You can do it. And keep moving forward. Goodbye for now.